computer. Awesome. Very good. So ladies, tell me when you have downloaded the test and let's start. Okay, I have it right here. Ready?
Where is the link? Where?
It's in the chat. It's in the chat, in the Zoom chat.
I think we don't have it yet.
Oh, you know what happened? Because you joined later. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Probably yes.
That's right now.
Yes. Thank you. And we need to go to the history one, yes?
Yes, yes, it's reading question 3342. Let me know when you're ready. Ready?
1 second.
It's okay, take your time.
Yeah, I think we are.
You have it, right? Yes?
1 second, I'm so sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. Take your time. That's okay. If yeah, that's fine. If you want, we can actually start using my screen.
So yeah, yeah, we
Will be better? Yeah. Okay. So as always, right? The first thing that we do when we have a passage, reading passage, we look at the question. We just skim through that, right? Go it over very quickly. Skim through the title and the author. Mercy Otis Warren. Well, what do we know about Mercy Otis Warren? Ladies, do you know anything about her?
I don't know anything.
It's okay. So she was the wife of James Warren, who was one of the first governors of Massachusetts, of the Massachusetts province back then. So, and he was an anti-federalist. She was also anti-federalist. Remember, like they were against the strong central government. So, in 1805, she wrote a book about an American Revolution. You remember, it was a revolution against, well, it was a war against Great Britain, right? It was a war between the colonies and Great Britain for independence. It's called the Revolutionary War, or War for Independence, two different names of the same war. So she wrote the book called History of the Rise, Progress, and Termination of the American Revolution. So it was a very controversial book, and not everybody agreed with what she wrote, but it was one of the very first books about the American Revolution. So, and it was very interesting because she was a woman. You remember back then women really didn't write books at all, right? Charlotte Bronte wrote it under her, she was hiding whatever she was writing, right? Women were not supposed to speak in public. And well, maybe because she was a very influential woman, because her husband was a very influential man. Maybe that's why. So she was kind of allowed to speak in public. But back then, women didn't talk much. Okay, in public. So, okay, so that's we know. Okay, we know it's about something going to be about the American Revolution, 1805. Okay, so let's go straight to the questions. Over the course of the passage, the main focus shifts from, can you answer this question right now?
No.
No, right? Yes, we need to finish reading this passage. Next, the image of the child just learning to walk. It's a metaphor. What kind of child do they think about here? What do you think? We know what the book is about. Who was a child?
So probably it's about an adult who just starts to do something new. So it means that he's
What adult? The child learning to walk. Who was just learning to walk in 1805? Remember, the Constitution was written in 1787. It was ratified 1789. The America was just created. So who was a child?
the first president.
Huh?
I don't know.
It's okay not to know. The child was America. America was a child. It was a new nation,
Okay.
right?
Got it. Yeah.
And think about it. When a child is learning to walk, how well does he do that?
Not so well.
Not so well. He stumbles, he makes mistakes. And that's what she's saying probably, right? You see, we make inferences as we just read. Okay, line 7. So why does she say this? Why does she use this metaphor, this image? So let's read the first paragraph, discussing the new words, stopping after each sentence and paraphrasing it. Nice, go ahead.
But though the
Connection.
connection was now dissolved, and Gordon notes between Great Britain and America had in Hungary, though the independence of the United States was by the treaty clearly established on the broad basis of liberty, yet the Americans felt themselves in such a state of infancy that as a child just learning to walk. They were afraid of their own movements. Their depth
Stop. That's it. Many ideas. And oops, sorry. You remember, I don't know, Nasty, if you have watched the first webinar. In the first webinar, I was talking about periodic sentences, right? Periodic sentences are sentences where the main idea is at the very, very, very end. So what is it? So it makes it very difficult to read. So what is the main idea of the sentence?
It's America just going to have an independence.
They just got their independence, but they were very, very young, right? They were in the state of infancy, and they were afraid, right? Obviously. And then they say what? What do they say here before? Even though what happened? Even though what happened? The connection was now dissolved. What does it mean? Connection between whom and whom was dissolved? Great Britain. What is dissolved? Disillusion. Fall apart, right? Dissolve means fall apart, right? Marriage, they say the marriage is dissolved, means it's broken. That's disillusion, dissolved. Okay. And the Gordian knot of union between Great Britain and American cut and sunder. You know what cut and sunder means? Cut and sunder. Huh? I don't hear you very well. Как разрублен, да? Cut in half. Right? Right? So basically they're saying what? Even though they were free now from Great Britain, they were very, very young, right? Okay, continue. Nice reading.
Their debts were paid, the governments unsettled, and the people out of bread by their own struggles to freedom. and independence of their country.
What are they saying? Again, I don't recommend. Stop after each sentence and paraphrase. What have you read? So, what was the condition in which the Americans were back then? Their debts were unpaid, right? They owed money. The economy was in ruins, right?
Yes, they hadn't got their own place.
Their government's unsettled, right? They had, they had just built a country. Obviously, it takes time for the government to start working properly, right? Yeah. Okay. And the people were out of breath by the long struggle for the freedom. What does it mean? What do you think? They were exhausted after a war, right? They were exhausted after a war. That was the condition, right? They got their freedom, but now what? Now what? Let's continue.
They were become poor from the loss of the neglect of their occupations, and their brains from every quarter.
They will become poor for the loss of trade. Who did they lose trade with? Who did they trade with before? What do you think? Great Britain.
Yes.
Great Britain. They would send, for example, furs to Great Britain. They would send ships to Great Britain. And then they would send cotton to Great Britain. They would send natural resources to Great Britain, and Great Britain in response will send back ready items like clothing and things like this, right? Now they couldn't exchange those items anymore, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so they were not in an ideal situation right now, right? Back then. Okay, Jan, let's try question number 34. What would you say? Child just learning to walk. Why did they say this? Why did they use this metaphor?
Characterize the United States decision to seek independence from Great Britain as
Juvenile.
Emphasizes the unexpected experience of Americans in navigating their new position, acknowledge the
naivety of Americans.
Naivety of Americans in believing in an equitable society, criticize the United States attempts to become isolated from the rest of the world. So not the last one. So I think that
a child just learning to walk.
So I think what is it mean juvenile?
Juvenile, so yeah, something юношеские, то есть not experienced, not serious enough. Juvenile,
I think that it's B, but also I think that the first line is kind of the right. So, but I think that's B.
But look, you have to read very, very carefully, right? She doesn't criticize America. She just says that, she just describes the state they were in debt, exhausted, and maybe also kind of lacking confidence, right? Characterize the United States decision to seek independence as juvenile, basically to say that it was not smart of the colonies to look for independence from Great Britain. So we have like you see, it's characterization. Characterization gives like analysis, maybe criticism in this way. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, a good, very popular answer, but incorrect. So the answer is B. Continue. Let's see. Warren implies. You remember, implies means you can find information. You have to that information. It's not clearly there, so you have to make a decision, make a conclusion. on your own. Warren implies that after Americans won independence, they questioned whether they would be. Do we know that answer, or do we need to continue reading?
So I think we don't know the answer yet.
We don't know the answer. We have to continue reading. Go ahead, Jan, and continue reading, please. Next paragraph.
From the versatility of human affairs and the encroaching spirit of man, it was yet uncertain when and how the states would be tranquilized,
Tranquilized.
and the union consolidated under wise, energetic, and free modes of government. So, in this sentence, it said that we don't know what will be in the future. So, we don't know how it would work for them or not. Because so they are in a very weak position.
Yeah. So their states would be tranquilized. What's tranquilized?
Probably
Tranquility. Транквилизатор. Что такое транквилизатор in Russian?
что-то, что ускоряет.
Успокаивает. Транквилизаторы успокаивают. So the states had to be calmed down. Why would the states have to be calmed down? What do you think? They just united the states, right? There were lots of disagreements about it, right? But they had to unite the states, 2/3, and 1/3 didn't really agree, probably, right? So they wanted to make sure that they could all unite them in peace. Yeah?
Yeah.
And the union had to be consolidated. What does it mean to consolidate a union?
So to like calm down, to
Make them stronger, right?
make them stronger. I just thought that from the word console.
Continue.
Or whether such, if established, would be administered agreeable to laws founded on the beautiful theory of republicanism, depictured in the closets of philosophers and idolized in the imagination of most of the inhabitants of America.
What are they saying?
So they just try to correct, probably to give information about
Right?
about the paths that can be followed in the future. So about the republicanism, about
right. So Americans wanted, so basically she's saying, right, they had, their task was to put everybody, to pacify everybody, make sure all the states and all the citizens agree on the future course of action under republicanism, right? And she said that, well, that's what they believed in. Most inhabitants, most people, most Americans believed in republic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at question number 35. Can we answer that question now?
I think yes. So,
Yes, we can. What is that answer?
so first, so I think it's C.
C, exactly. What does it mean, appease?
So to calm down, not the best synonym, but
Yeah,
probably
appease, attract, right? Exactly. And which line says it? Which line says it?
it's the next question. So I think would be tranquilized and the union consolidated under wise, energetic, and free modes of government.
And the laws would be agreeable to all people, right? Very good. Excellent. And let's look at question number 36. Warren contrasts. Contrasts show difference. Americans' knowledge of different areas of study with their unworldly view of. So what is he asking us to do? She distinguishes, right? She shows a difference between American maybe theoretical knowledge is some, and I don't know, their views on something. I have no idea. We need to read, right? And also maybe we want to proofread. I don't know. No, maybe we should actually read and see what's next. Nastya.
It is indeed true that from a general attention to early education, the people of the United States were better informed in many branches of literature than the common classes of men in most other countries.
Let's pause, paraphrase. What have you just said?
People, about the educated people of the United States, they were very clever and good at literature.
So they were well read.
Yes.
Right? American people had more, they were well read than many other men in the world. Continue. Yet,
Yes.
right? Always important. We have a shift of ideas. Yet what?
Yet, many of them had what superficial knowledge of mankind. They were ignorant of the intrigues. They didn't know how to pronounce.
Intrigues of course, and through
Intrigues of words, and the whole convinced of the necessity of government did not fully understand its nature or origin.
So what's even though they were well read, what? They were well read, but what?
But many of them have just a general knowledge. Anything.
So they lacked experience, right?
Yes.
Right? They only had theoretical knowledge. They were idealists, so to speak, right? They knew what they wanted, but they really didn't know how, what? Maybe corrupt courts could be, right? They knew what kind of government they wanted, but they didn't necessarily know how to establish a government they wanted, right? Continue.
They had generally supposed there was little to do, but to shake off the youth of foreign domination and
Annihilate
the name of king. What does it mean, annihilate?
Annihilate means, Jan, what is annihilate? Annihilation. Annihilate.
To shake off the youth foreign domination and probably to
Destroy. Annihilate. Annihilate means destroy completely, right? And yoke, you know what yoke is? Like when you have horses or cows, and when Russian it's called upyashka, right? So these are the limits of foreign domination, Great Britain, right? So nice. What is he saying here? What is she saying here? Sorry, it's a she.
They suppose that it wasn't a big deal, but they have a discrimination from the name of king.
Right, right. So they had generally supposed there was little to do, right? They felt like all they had to do was to become independent, right? You just get rid of that uzda, right? So of the limitations imposed on you, get rid of the king, and you're free, right? It's like, I'm at home alone. I leave my parents. Now life will be perfect. That's how they were, right? Get your freedom and that's it. So let's look. So how, Jan, question number 36, how would you answer that question?
So, I think human nature.
Exactly, it's human nature, right? How corrupt, for example, governments could be, how corrupt people could be, right? They were just idealists, not realists, for sure. Next, in the passage, Warren characterizes Americans of the post-revolutionary war period as lines 19-24, we've read them.
Yeah.
Lines 25-28, we've read them. Lines 30-35, we've read them. And line 62-69, we haven't. We can skip this question as a characterization, right? 37-38, we don't know. And let's move to Warren claims there is a historical pattern of governments that would serve as a warning to Americans in that the most successful governments are what? Jan, what are they asking us? What is she asking us?
So probably the image of the most successful and the best government need to
Right.
find it.
Right. So they really need to look at the world, at the history, right? To see what successful governments are and what the successful governments do. Okay, again, it's a line reference question. Reviewing. Okay. And now we have question 48. Okay, maybe 48 we can answer. Oops. No, 30. What was it? Line, yeah, 31. Is used in line 48. Secure means what? Jan, can you please read next paragraph until, well, the end of here. Again, we will read and discuss.
They were not generally sensible. The most established modes of strong government are usually the consequences of fraud or violence against the systems of democratic theorists.
Let's pause. What did she just say?
They said it said about the fraud and violence of government. So if, for example, a country has a strong government, it can mean that the consequences of this could be really bad for like the people.
Exactly. You remember she wasn't like her husband, she was an anti-federalist. So she was against the strong government because she was saying, if you guys claim you want to have a strong government, you will have a tyrant in charge of it, right? Continue.
They were not sensible that from age to age, the people are flattered, deceived, or threatened until the hoodwinked multitudes set their own seals to renunciation of their privileges and with their own hands drive the chains of servitude on their posterity.
Do you know what posterity means? Posterity.
No.
It's future generations. So let's try to understand what is she saying here.
So she said that some people can be afraid or threatened. Deceived means to одурачить кого-то, deceive.
Одурачены, lied to. Mhm. Renunciation. What's renunciation?
Answers to the renunciation of their privileges. Probably renunciation of their как бы,
You give away. When you renounce something, you give up something. You give something up. As a result, you give, she says, chains of servitude to your children. So what happens? In the strong government, what is she saying? She's saying you get deceived, you get flattered, deceived, and you lose your freedom, right? In a strong government. Right? You see, it shows, like, you know, the vocabulary is really, it's a must, right? Learning the vocabulary, it's a must. And again, I use all of those words. I do use in the stories that I create, right? Continue.
they were totally careless of the intrigues or the ambition of their own countrymen, which might in time render fruitless the expense of their blood and their treasures.
What's she saying?
So she said that people were not afraid of some government like deals. So that's why probably they are not afraid to lose something, or they're not afraid to. So they, как бы, даже с потерей там крови и каких-то treasures вообще вклад.
Treasures, yeah.
Да. Даже с потерей этого люди будут как бы сражаться, потому что они такие fearless.
No. They were totally fearless of the intrigues or the ambitions of their own countrymen. So saying they were naive and they didn't really understand their own men who were as the fathers of the American Revolution. So, and she says that as a result, what happened was that their blood that they shed in the war, they shed in vain. They basically, she's saying they were fighting for freedom, but as a result, they gave all of their rights to the strong central government. And like, what is the difference between having a president acting like a king or just having a king in Great Britain? What's the difference? Like, what for did you fight the Revolutionary War if you gave up your rights now? See what she's saying?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
This they had freely lavished to secure their equality of conditions, their easy modes of subsistence, and their exemption from public burdens beyond the necessary demands for the support of free and equal government.
What's she saying?
So lavish, it means to
Вообще-то lavish это щедро, да? So basically she's saying everything they gave to the government. All of the rights, all of everything they had, they gave to the government.
It was not long before they were awakened to new energies by convulsions both at home and abroad.
So what happened here?
So to new energies, convulsions, it means нападения какие-то, да? Ну, не нападения, а...
Конвульсии. So it means that what happened? How was the situation in the States?
So it was not really peaceful and great. So that's why probably some violent actions started.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's continue.
So continue reading or
I don't know. Do you think you can answer some questions? Maybe like, well, 62, 69, we haven't answered yet, right? I guess we have
Yeah.
to finish reading and then return to those questions. Go ahead.
So you created exigencies or more splendid modes of government that might hereafter be adopted, had not yet come within the reach of their calculations.
Calculations. So what's basically she's saying?
So might be adopted, had not yet come within the reach of them. So they needed to like get accustomed to the new rules. So that's why probably they were not really ready for this.
Maybe, or maybe she's saying that what they have created, they haven't really created yet. What they meant to create, they established the government, but they haven't really reached their goal in terms of the government. It hasn't been formed into what they wanted it to be.
Yeah. Of these, few had yet formed any adequate ideas, and fewer indeed were sensible that though the name of liberty delights the ear and tickles the fond pride of man, is a jewel much oftener the player thing of his imagination than a possession of real stability.
What's she saying about freedom? What's she saying about freedom? They got their freedom.
So they got yes, freedom, but I think that was not really like complete. So that's why they still had some problems with this.
Exactly. She says it sounds good on words, but in reality, not so much, right?
Yeah.
Continue.
It may be acquired today in all the triumph of independent feelings, but perhaps tomorrow the world may be convinced that mankind know not how to make a proper use of the prize generally bartered in a short time as a useless bauble to the first officious master that will take the burden from the mind by laying another on the shoulders of tenfold weight.
So what's she saying? What happens to people who get their freedom when they don't know what to do with that freedom?
So they can't deal with things. So that's why it's really hard for them, like on the shoulders of tenfold weight. So it's like a metaphor that it's really hard for a naive person or like a beginner at something to be.
Exactly. So she says, they walk with that freedom, like with a prize, until what happens? Somebody takes over. Somebody takes the prize and burdens them, limits them, right? So now you can answer this question. In what lines do you think she characterizes them as? What did she say? Are they what?
So it's question number 38, yes?
37 and 38.
37. So in the passage characterizes of the post-revolutionary work period as, I think, naive
and idealistic.
Naive and idealistic, yes, I think this one.
I agree. And in which lines? Let's see, 19, 24, 25, 28, 30, 35, 62, 69. Let's see, 19, 24.
So, or whether such, if established, would be administered agreeable to laws founded on the beautiful theory of republicanism, depictured in the closets of philosophers and idealized. So I think it's obvious.
Is this one or not this one?
I think not this one.
Okay, not this one, I agree. Let's continue. So to call them naive, right? 25, 28, let's see.
It's needed true that from a general attention to early education, the people of the United States were better informed in many branches of literature than the common classes of men in most other countries. No, I don't think that it's the right answer.
It's close, but not quite, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't say naive and unrealistic.
So 1335, they were ignorant of the intrigues of courts, and though convinced of the necessity of government, did not fully understand its nature or origin. They had generally supposed there was little to do to shape off the yoke of foreign domination and
Annihilate.
annihilate the name of the king. So in this lines, she said that they were kind of
Very good, Umnitsa. Very good. Excellent. Yes, 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 yes. Very good. You're doing great. So let's do 39.
so Warren claims that there is a historical pattern of governors that should serve as a warning to Americans and successful governments are. So reluctant to impose constraints on their citizens, but actually censor any public criticism. Unable to discontinue policies enforced by their previous leaders, enabled by their citizens' blind trust to act without oversight, willing to use treachery or intimidation to maintain their position of power. So intimidation, it's like to
Устрашение. Threatening.
yes. I think I don't know why, but I think it's C, enabled by their no, like
Enabled. Enabled, so it means capable. Are they capable or they are not capable? Incapable.
no,
Incapable.
they are incapable. Yes.
Incapable. So
So probably in this case, B.
So most successful governments, means strong governments, are unable to discontinue policies enforced by their previous leaders. Do they talk about previous leaders anywhere? No. Okay. Let's look at the lines and see. Right, where they talk about successful governments. 39, 44, 48, 52, 55, 57, 80, 85. Let's do 39, 44. Go ahead.
So they were not sensible that from age to age the people are flattered, deceived, or threatened until the weak multitude set their own seals to their renunciation of their privileges, and with their hands grab the chance of servitude their posterity.
They're referring here to strong governments, right? Strong governments. Is it the answer? Oh, no.
I think so. They talk about like intimidation in line D.
Mm-hmm.
To maintain their position of power.
Threatened.
Yes, and they talk about that people were deceived or threatened. So
exactly. That's exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right. So the answer is D. Yes, the answer is D. Right? Excellent. Where is Nastya?
Nastya just will come back.
Okay.
In just 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. They are willing to use treachery. So the answer is then
so,
A. Yeah.
Yes.
The answer is A. Secure. Let's look at line 48. What does secure mean?
So secure.
Right
they
here.
had really lavish to secure their equality or condition. Probably
to secure the equality of their condition. What does secure mean here?
Secure the equality of condition. So I think it means control their equality.
Maintain, right? Maintain, secure, right? Keep it. So
So control.
control. Can you control your security? No. Can you control your condition, or more you like maintain it, your condition?
So in this case, fasten.
Пристегнуть?
I just didn't know what this
Fasten.
mean.
Fasten mean to пристегнуть, right? They say just people wanted to secure the stability. They just didn't want their life to be changed. So
Warranty in this case.
guarantee, yeah, guarantee. Yes. And the last one, in the last paragraph, Warren states that rulers are appointed through deception, means and by. What does it mean? Rulers are appointed through deception.
So deceptive.
Deceptive, yeah.
Through deceptive means and by.
Yeah.
So probably they were как бы были одурачены, если так можно сказать.
No, rulers are appointed through deceptive means. I think it's very modern, really. What does it mean appoint? To appoint somebody? Назначать. This is, you really need, I think that one thing you should be really doing right now is memorizing lots and lots of words. I gave you those 2 more books. Please go make sure you know them all. Because you see, it's just words. It's just words, right? So what's she saying? How do the rulers come to power?
So they are appointed.
How?
So citizens, persuasive philosophers, arguing with other political leaders, the complaints of the public. So I think it's B or D.
But look, нет, вопрос, да, просто вопрос. The rulers are appointed through deceptive means. То есть что? Руководство назначается. So do rulers have to be appointed in a republic or in a democratic republic, or usually rulers have to be elected?
Yes, so
not appointed.
not appointed.
And they have to be elected in honest ways, right?
Yeah.
Not in deceptive ways, right?
Yeah.
I think 40, okay, that's all. Let's look at the last paragraph and read it. Again, paraphrasing sentence by sentence.
So this is the usual course of human conduct. However painful the reflection may be the patriot in retirement, and to the philosopher observed in theoretic disquisitions on human liberty, or the portion of natural and political freedom to which man has a claim.
So what's she saying?
So probably she said about things that all people have, like their rights to on human liberty, or natural and political freedom.
No, what she's saying is, this is how people are. They deceive to get in power. Even though it's painful to realize it to a patriot who is idealistic and who is a philosopher absorbed in theoretical disquisitions on human liberty. So he said, that's how people are. They always abuse whatever good they get. Right? Continue.
The game of deception is played over and over to mislead the judgment of men and work on their enthusiasm until by their own consent, hereditary hereditary crowns and distinctions are fixed, and some scion of royal descent is
Descent.
is entailed upon them forever.
So what is it saying?
So she talked about the game of deception, that it's like a circle of this game
Mhm.
to mislead the judgment of men.
Mhm.
So, and some, what does it mean, scene of royal? Scene of,
Ну, это royal descent, это поколение королей. Мгм.
so this circle will last forever until they just fix this, and like the scene of royal will fix this.
Exactly. It's all about this, right? It's like, yes, okay, you got rid of kings, but now you're going to have your own set of rulers, and the power will always be in the same hands.
Yeah.
Right? They say hereditary crowns and distinctions are fixed. Continue.
So thus, by habit, they are ready to believe that mankind in general are incapable of the enjoyment of the liberty which nature seems to prescribe, and that the mass of the people have not the capacity nor the right to choose their own masters.
Mm-hmm.
So she said about she said that people don't have and probably will not have the right to choose like the master,
Mm-hmm.
and probably all people have a thought that they are incapable of the enjoyment of the liberty.
Right, that's how they realize in the end that they can't. That's the way of life. They cannot enjoy their freedom, right? A circle of whatever, vicious circle, whatever it is. Okay, so what is she saying? How do rulers get appointed?
So she said that people cannot like choose the master. Yes.
Well, in the end, they can't. Yeah, they cannot choose the end. And how do people react? Do they fight it, or do they say it is what it is?
It is what it is.
So the answer is
D, I think.
the compliance of the public, right? That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay, I'm just going to stop the recording.